evening and welcome. You're with Newsfirst, your #1 news provider. I'm Shamir Rasuldi.
And I'm Amina Mustafa.
Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Strike action by health workers stole over 4,000 surgeries. Death sentences handed down to 7 individuals convicted for homicide by the Panadura High Court. Journalists protest in Jaffna. 17 injured in a motor accident involving an STF bus in Trincomalee. Global awards for Ceylon Today and Maubima newspapers.
The Ministry of Finance has allocated funds to provide relief to the 111,459 families affected by the severe drought. The ministry adds that measures have been taken to provide the funds to the respective districts affected by the inclement weather.
The Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Hambantota, Puttalam, Mana, Vaunia, Monragala and Ampara districts have been severely affected by the drought. A program to renovate small-scale irrigation systems and waterways is underway with the assistance of those who lost their means of income as a result of damages caused by the dry weather to their cultivations. The Ministry of Finance adds that they will be paid a maximum of 6,000 rupees per month. In addition, a program is also afoot to remove silt in the tanks and reservoirs in order to increase its water capacity. A joint operation by the district secretariats and the National Water Supply and Drainage Board is underway to provide water by bowsers to persons who are facing a shortage of water. District secretariats and agrarian organizations have been vested with the responsibility of renovating 600 agrarian wells.
Now, has the said funds reached the affected? Newsfirst correspondents visited several districts to look into the plight of those affected by the severe drought.
These people are forced to put their life at risk to obtain water to quench their thirst. This woman undertakes a daily routine of descending 30 feet into the well to obtain water. Such a situation can also be witnessed in several other areas, including Biso Bandaragama in Polonnaruwa.
They say they will give us drought relief and agricultural compensation, but we have not received any sort of relief.
We have been rendered helpless. Although several public representatives claim that they have done any good to us, we have received nothing. Our cultivations have been spread over the past 4 seasons, but there has been no drought relief of any kind.
Many canals, waterways, wells and streams in the Ampara district too have dried out. Only mud remains in many of the wells in Kotavehara, Ampara.
No one is coming here to look into this issue. They are not providing water from bowsers. If water is provided by bowsers, it is only being provided to the houses that are located along the main road.
There are tanks all around this area. Not a single public representative has arrived here to provide us with water. When there are elections, they come here and say that they will provide water. But now, there is no one.
This is the condition of the water here. Our pleas to the authorities have fallen on deaf ears. Because there is a shortage of the bowsers, sometimes persons might not receive water on time. In such an instance, please inform the Graman Ledari or the Divisional Secretary. We have provided funds to the District Secretariat for this purpose, and they have been informed to rent private bowsers and provide water to the people if necessary. If that too does not work, you can inform the ministry. We will intervene. We have been provided provision by the President to purchase new bowsers, and we hope to purchase 100 new bowsers.
Health trade unions point out that the trade union action launched by health workers, citing 5 main concerns, has caused over 4,000 surgeries to be postponed.
Now, they charge that the health sector officials should take the responsibility of the inconvenience caused to the public.
Health workers attached to 27 professions took part in the trade union action yesterday by calling in sick. Health workers involved in admitting patients, accompanying them to surgeries as well as discharging patients took part in this protest. The trade union action caused the disruption of day-to-day activities at hospitals.
We can clearly state that nearly 4,200 surgeries around the country had to be postponed. However, emergency services did function as usual. Some surgeries may take months. We cannot say what was scheduled for today will happen tomorrow. We cannot make any statements on it. Since dates have been assigned to all surgeries, the patients will have to stay in the waiting list for weeks or months. Officials of the Health Ministry must accept responsibility for this.
This is not something to be happy about. We should be saddened by it. We're all one group, even the trade unions. As a ministry, we all stand for one cause. That is to supply a good service to the public and uplift the health sector in the country.
Minor staff of hospitals island-wide launched a strike action. Were they efficient enough to render the service that was stalled as a result of the strike? We visited the Matra hospital to look into this.
Due to the strike, we had to postpone several surgeries. However, we can conduct these surgeries at a later time. So we were not severely affected.
Health workers at the Kurunagala hospital who engaged in a trade union action yesterday reported to work today. Deputy Director of the hospital, Dr. Chandana Kamdegamo, noted that only emergency and high priority surgeries were conducted yesterday as a result of yesterday's trade union action.
We only managed to conduct some surgeries yesterday. We managed the emergency services as well as the OPD to the best of our ability. We got the assistance of the army and we provided care for the patients. We couldn't obtain any medicine yesterday. We couldn't get it today as well. We came to get medicine yesterday and we had to waste the entire day. We had to stay in queues all day to get medicine. I couldn't get a scan done yesterday. On one day the doctors strike, the next day the minor staff strike. We are the ones who are inconvenienced. Trade union actions are common in Sri Lanka. We came in search of a group at the Kandy hospital who are working to catch up on the work that was delayed yesterday. The specialist doctors are taking steps to reschedule the surgeries that were due to be held yesterday. We were able to restore the services today. We received word that patients were severely inconvenienced yesterday. We are sorry about it. Today they are working actively to cover the work that was to be done yesterday.
A special religious observance took place this evening for the safe return of Yasin Lankanath, the child who was abducted from Katugampal area in Migalava in Galgamuwa 3 days ago. The child is barely 5 years old. Newsfirst, as a responsible media network, will refrain from reporting on the abduction further, as we strongly believe that attention should be now focused on the child's safety and security. You're with Newsfirst. We will be right back after this short commercial break.
That was how Vijaya Munusoiza, the Minister of Wildlife Resources Conservation, had to enter the Udawalawe Elephant Transit Home last night.
Now, the reason behind the minister's visit was the death of an elephant calf several days ago.
The elephant calf was being held at the Elephant Transit Home under a court order.
The Minister of Wildlife Resources Conservation entered the Udawalawe Elephant Transit Home to inspect the conditions of the elephant in the transit home. The minister, who looked into the condition of an elephant calf suffering from a stomach pain, criticized the actions of the officials.
Go, doctor.
Why is this animal placed here and not being quarantined? This is evidence. What you have done is wrong. Someone will be held accountable. Who took this decision? We lost one piece of evidence. When evidence is destroyed, what will happen to the ministry? Who made this decision? The failure to protect evidence is highlighted by this. I am disappointed as a minister.
The elephant calf in question was transported to the Udawalawe Elephant Transit Home after it was discovered being held in a forest area behind the Department of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science of the University of Peradeniya on the 8th of May. The elephant died at the Elephant Transit Home on the 27th. A two-member committee commenced the post-mortem examination into the death of the elephant calf. The examinations are being carried out by a member of the Department of National Zoological Gardens and a member of the Department of Animal Products and Health.
A demonstration was staged in Jaffna this afternoon to protest against an incident which a group of Northern Province journalists had to face at an Umante checkpoint.
The demonstrators who gathered opposite the Jaffna bus stop emphasized that the safety of the journalists need to be ensured. Journalists from the north and south took part in the demonstration. MPs of the Tamil National Alliance as well as members of the Northern Provincial Council took part in the demonstration. After the conclusion of the war, journalists have been threatened severely. Because of the threats made on their lives, certain journalists are in self-imposed exile. At present, journalists in the north are working in a backdrop where there are threats. We express our displeasure over the government's measures to oppress the media.
Everyone in the north and south expected that the country will become a peaceful and united Sri Lanka after the end of the war. However, the current government continues to break these aspirations each day. Suppression is increasing in the north and the south on a daily basis. They are showing the world that this country does not have democracy and that this country does not have media freedom. The country has failed to enact the law against any murder or assault.
We are proud as journalists to stand together, to give our lives, to give our work and our creativity together to better our society. We protest the deliberate suppression of journalists, the murder of journalists, the torture of journalists, the disappearance of journalists. We are bringing here a message of unity of all journalists in Sri Lanka for a united democracy, for a multiple cultural and pluralist society in this country.
Issuing a media release, the Ministry of External Affairs has called on the US Embassy in Sri Lanka not to make judgmental statements based on biased information. The ministry issued this release in response to a media statement by the US Embassy in Colombo expressing concern on media freedom in the island. The statement by the US Embassy referred to incidents surrounding the cancellation of a training organized for Jaffna-based journalists, funded by the US government a few days ago.
The External Affairs Ministry noted that the basis for such training programs to be funded through the US Embassy is unclear, particularly when the target group has been limited to one geographical region and ethnic group. It adds that it is unfortunate that the embassy statement chose to ignore the responses provided by the government following queries raised over the weekend on this issue by US government officials in a spirit of reciprocal engagement, both in Colombo and in Washington, D.C. According to the US media release, circumstances surrounding the cancellation of the said event appear to be the protest that reportedly took place against the conduct of the workshop, which was denounced by the US Embassy. The media release by the Ministry of External Affairs dated 31st of July 2014 noted that the rights of these protesters to the freedom of assembly and expression are being inappropriately questioned by the embassy. The ministry points out that the US Embassy appears to be selectively upholding these fundamental principles in Sri Lanka, depending on who is exercising the right. It adds that restrictively targeting a specific group of people from a particular community or region can lead to a perpetuation of mistrust among communities, seriously hampering reconciliation efforts. The ministry goes on to note that if the embassy had expressed concern about the reports of intimidation of media personnel, the ministry would have expected the sharing of specific details of such intimidation and harassment in the spirit of constructive engagement, without making judgmental statements based on erroneous and biased information.
With you 24 hours a day, verified, unbiased, balanced, fearless. www.newsfirst.lk Best Web.lk Awards 2014 Silver Award Best Media Website Bronze Award Best Tamil Website. We thank our loyal viewers for continuing to place your trust in us. Your life, our news.
Contestants for the upcoming Uva Provincial Council will visit the Puhupala village to obtain their vote. However, problems faced by area residents have not yet been addressed. The Wantaweg Reservoir, which is constructed under the Mahaveli project and is fed by the Uma Oya, which is part of the Mahaveli River, is one of the main water sources. The Uma Oya Multipurpose Development Project supplies water for development purposes to the Hambantota district via the Lunugam Behera Reservoir. However, residents who live in Derania, Uma Oya, say that they have lost complete right to obtain water.
Water which was supplied under the Ohilaila project passes through paddy fields which does not belong to the Umaoyo project. An entire paddy field has been destroyed as a result. You can see 3 undergraduate students digging concrete over there. They are doing this because their parents cannot afford to send them to university. This is the financial situation of farmers here. Give us access to what belongs to us.
Because of the lack of water, around 400 families who cultivate paddy, vegetables and potatoes, which are the main crops grown in this area, are suffering. Of the 2 reservoirs that are being constructed as part of the project to divert water from the Uma Oya, the Puhulpula tank is being constructed below the Valimata town. As a result of the 98 houses and the 128 families who own agricultural land which fall under the Valimata and Uva Paranagama district secretariats are inundated. Not only have they lost land for cultivation, but they are also faced with environmental problems. This is the road which passes through the Puhupala village, which is under the Uma Oya water project. Because of this road, area residents are facing numerous hardships. This is the current situation of the village.
Our children have no way of going to school. When they start work, there is a lot of dust. A child cannot go to school like this. There are times our children have returned home because of this. They come in air-conditioned vehicles without opening windows and they just talk. They are afraid of the dust, while our children have to face it. After the project started, no political representatives came to this area.
The political stage is heating up ahead of the Uva Provincial Council polls. Let us take a look at some of the views expressed by politicians ahead of the polls.
The Uva Maha Oya is the largest tank in Uva. It has been blocked from Puhulola while the Maha Tatila Oya has been diverted from Diababa. They want to carry the water from these waterways to the Hambantota harbour and the Hambantota airport. There is a water shortage in this area. The locals have no water to drink. What will happen if water is being taken away in a backdrop where there is a shortage of water? They are distributing water in bowsers bearing the slogans Shashindra Foundation, Zoisa Foundation and Pushpakumara Foundation. This happens because of the elections.
The biggest issue in the country is water being distributed in a bowser that falls under my ministry. I did not do this seeking any votes. I did not go to those villages. I only dispatched the bowser. The people did not have drinking water, so I dispatched the bowser under my own expense as a social service.
Development needs to reach the villagers. People continue to use metal roofing sheets in villages. Anyone would like to change this. Did the government do it? Uva became the poorest province because of the activities of Shashindra. This needs to be changed and can be changed.
If they want to scold someone, they use me for that. It's all right. They criticize when you do something. If you remain idle, they will not criticize you. They say that I have not provided electricity or done any development. Are they saying this because they have any affection for you? If they do, you may vote for them. No one can win this poll like this.
Newsfirst a few days ago reported that the NFF or the National Freedom Front will be contesting the Uva Provincial Council polls independently. The NFF is a key ally of the UPFA-led government. At a cabinet media briefing held today, this was the centre of attention. What did the cabinet media spokesperson Minister Kelly Rambukwala had to say? Let's take a look.
No, this is not the first time. Even the Muslim Congress contested separately. Minister Hakim and Minister Bimal Weerawansa contested separately being in the cabinet. We have discussed this matter over and over again. The alliance can be considered as a special political party. The alliance sits together, stays together. They go by their own political stance when needed. But as a group, we work together when it comes to public problems of the country.
සාමූහිකයක් හැටියට රටේ පොදු වැඩවලදී එකට කටයුතු කරන්න. ඒක ඉතින් විශේෂ වූ සිද්ධාන්තයක්.
මේ රූපපත්ලක මේ වගේ පස්සේ වෙන සම්මානයේ වශයෙන් කොහොමද මේ මෙතුවර මුල් දෙන්නේ?
අතිවරණයෙන් පස්සේ එක්කාසු වෙනවා.
Australian Immigration Minister Scott Morrison has said the 157 asylum seekers who are in the Australian mainland will never be resettled in Australia.
Now, after a month at a custom vessels, the asylum seekers, including at least 137 children, including the asylum seekers, were transferred to the Curtin Detention Centre several days ago, breaking long-standing Australian government policy.
In an interview with ABC Networks, Australian Immigration Minister admitted that the secret negotiations are underway with the Indian government on asylum seekers. Let us take a look at the excerpts of the interview.
They've been living in India, the vast majority of people on this vessel, for a very long time, and they have family in India. And so what I have done...
You know that the majority of people on this boat, you are asserting that they have lived in India for a very long time, the majority.
That is our understanding of who's on this vessel. Now, we are providing an opportunity for them to go back to India, and they could make that request to Indian consular officials over the course of the next week. Now, if advocates are telling them they shouldn't talk to consular officials, then I question whether they're acting in their best interest.
All right, let's
because
move on.
They will pass up that opportunity. It is rare for India to concede and bringing back someone who was not a citizen. Now, they're prepared to do that, they told me, for humanitarian reasons. And if advocates are going to deny that opportunity, then where they end up will be very much a consequence of that decision. We discussed three options. One was that they could be taken to India, where that process, which I've talked about, their identity and so on, could be assessed. That was not accepted by India. It could also be done on the ship, and that was logistically difficult to get Australian Indian consular officials to that ship, and so in those circumstances we chose to do it this way. Now, we'll see how it goes, but if the outcome of this is that no one chooses to talk to Indian consular officials, then the government's policy is very clear, and they will go to offshore processing, and that's where their claims will be assessed. They will never ever be resettled in Australia, and that will be the outcome, and nor will they ever be able to probably ever go back to India again.
Let me just make the question very clear, Mr Morrison. Did you consider sending them back to Sri Lanka?
There was no attempt during the course of that past month. There was no discussion with the government of Sri Lanka about people on that voyage going back to Sri Lanka, and I'll tell you why. That voyage did not come from Sri Lanka.
You're with Newsfirst. Let me tell you a story of what's happening elsewhere in the country. A government member of the Amagama Pradesh Sabha engaged in a protest today by climbing on top of the roof of the Pradesh Sabha. The member said that although he represents the government, he felt ashamed as the proposals forwarded by him for the betterment of the public were ignored.
Vijay Nandaraj climbed onto the roof of the building today, subsequent to an argument that broke out during the monthly session of the Amagamo Pradesh Sabha. He remained atop the roof of the Pradesh Sabha building for almost an hour, and later got onto the roof of the bus stand adjacent to the local government body.
The Aberdeen Falls and the Lakshapana Falls are facing a risk of destruction. We have been raising this issue and also the issue on the condition of the roads. We informed them about the hospitals that come under the purview of the Provincial Council. Steps that are being taken to provide people with their basic requirements are not being carried out in a productive manner. As a public representative, I oppose this.
Two motor accidents reported from Gampaha and Trincomalee areas claimed the lives of 3 and injured 17 others. According to the police, the accident in the Gampaha claimed the lives of a mother and a son-in-law of the same family.
The accident took place at around 5:15 a.m. when a boom truck travelling from Kaduwela towards Balumahara collided with a van travelling in the opposite direction. According to the police, the accident occurred when the driver of the van fell asleep at the wheel. The van was carrying a family returning from a funeral in the Kakirav area. 2 women who suffered injuries in the accident are currently receiving treatment at the Gampa Hospital and the National Hospital. We suddenly heard a noise. That is when we woke up.
We came out to see what happened. We tried to take them out. Then an old lady put 2 women in the van while we tried to get the rest of the people out.
The driver of the truck was taken into police custody in order to record a statement. Meanwhile, 17 individuals suffered injuries when a bus transporting 20 STF soldiers met with an accident in the Wenderson Waver area in Palugas Waver, Trincomalee, while attempting to overtake a Bowser. The accident occurred at around 8 a.m. The injured were admitted to the Kantale hospital, while the driver has been admitted to the Badula base hospital for further treatment. According to the police, the soldiers had been dispatched from the Trincomalee base to the Alutgam area.
We suddenly heard a noise. We went out to see what happened and thereafter we attempted to rescue them.
The Kantale police is conducting further investigation.
7 persons convicted of homicide were sentenced to death by the Panadura High Court today.
The verdict was delivered by High Court Judge Mohammad Zulfiqar Rasheen. The convicts were found guilty of murdering an individual by shooting and stabbing him in Pinmat, Panadura on the 14th of August 2005, or a date closer to that.
The verdict was delivered today after the case was initially taken up in 2008.
Maubima and Ceylon Today newspapers were presented with 2 awards at the Global Brand Excellence Awards that took place in Singapore today.
Director of Marketing at Ceylon Newspapers Private Limited, Saranga Vijayratna, was presented the award for Media Professional of the Year. Meanwhile, the Ceylon Today newspaper bagged the Emerging Brand Award as well. Saranga Vijayratna shared these views with Newsfirst from Singapore.
Ceylon Newspapers has won 2 awards. All the good work, all the innovations that they have done to revolutionize the newspaper industry has been recognized at this global award ceremony, and we are really motivated.
The launch of the Junior World Entrepreneurship Forum, Sri Lanka, was held in the auditorium of the Kadirgama Institute in Colombo today.
The forum was created on the belief that creating both wealth and social justice is the key for shaping the world of 2050. Speakers at the event consisted of business leaders and young entrepreneurs who are in the forefront of the business world. A number of topics were discussed at the event, including Sri Lanka entrepreneurship ecosystem and youth as entrepreneurs in the island.
Entrepreneurship Forum in France. He's the founding in a post-war.
On to Biz First now. The Department of Post says that the enacting of price revision on postal rates has been postponed to next week. Postmaster General Rohan Aberatna, speaking to Newsfirst, said that the revision will be in effect from the 7th of August.
According to the new revision, the minimum postal rate has been increased from 5 rupees to 10 rupees. The fee of 4 rupees that was in effect for postcards will be increased to 8 rupees. Registered post charges of 25 rupees remains unchanged under the new revision. Business mail charges are also due to increase. The Postmaster General added that postal charges for a parcel weighing 250 grams has been increased from 50 rupees to 90 rupees. However, trade unions charged that there are issues surrounding the price revision.
Certain towns in Sri Lanka have grown over the past years in a very disorganized manner with no proper plan. However, the Urban Development Authority is taking steps to rectify this.
This is the town of Imaduwa in Goa. With urbanization at its doorstep, the time has come to transform this city. The main reason behind this is because there simply is no more room in the Imaduwa town with the expansion of the Galle-Akrasi main road and the construction of the expressway. A fully equipped town is being constructed in close proximity to Imaduwa. Under the directive of the UDA, the Air Force and a number of other institutions are carrying out this project. The new town will consist of a bus depot, 76 shops, a sub-post office and other facilities.
ඒ වගේම සතිපොළ සංවර්ධනය කිරීමටත් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
We hope to develop the weekly fair and we will be developing all infrastructure facilities. We are also taking steps to provide lands for supermarkets and banks.
ඒම බැංකු සහ අනෙකුත් සුපිරි වෙළඳසැල් සඳහා ඉඩම් ලබා දීමටත් මෙහිදී කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the Champion Network Commonwealth Games Centre, where we have been comprehensively covering the 20th Commonwealth Games and all its thrills and spills. Well, it's not been a positive day for Sri Lanka on the medals table, but there have been a lot of positives that Sri Lanka could take away from it. At least that's what most of the kinder pundits would tell you on the morrow. Sri Lanka's chances of improving its presence on the medals table were dampened further today when Nadika Lakmali was placed 6th in the women's javelin throw event. Let's take a look at the action from that event and a few others which featured Sri Lankan athletes.
The women's javelin throw event of the 2014 edition of the Commonwealth Games concluded early this morning. The gold medal of the event was bagged by Australian Kim Mikel. Her gold medal throw of 65.96 meters is also a Commonwealth Games record. Nadika Lakmali, who took part in the event representing Sri Lanka, came in 6th. Shiromali Veeraratne, who took part in the women's boxing 75 kg weight class quarter-final, was beaten by Edith Ogoke of Nigeria. Sri Lanka had a disappointing start at the women's table tennis doubles event as they took on Guernsey in the first round. Chamatsara Fernando and Hansini Pumali represented Sri Lanka and conceded victory 1-3.
Well, a very moving performance there by the Sri Lankan teenage duo of Chamatsara Pereira and Hansini Pumila in the women's doubles table tennis first round. Although they were eliminated, definitely a lot to expect from them in the future, I think. Now, speaking of racket sports, Sri Lanka's chances in badminton also seem to be fading. Dinuka Karunaratne was defeated earlier this evening in the round of 16 men's singles badminton event when he was defeated by Darren Liu of Malaysia. All hope is not lost though in the badminton court. On the badminton court, Niluka Karunaratne will be taking on S. Kidambi of India later on tonight at around 11 p.m. We'll have all the action from that right here on the Champions Network. The highlight of the day today, of course, was Kirani James of Grenada's fantastic run in the 400 meters men's finals on the track. Set a new games record, in fact. Taking a look at the medals table, England are dominating all the way. They're still on top with 40 gold. Australia 5 gold behind them on 35, and then you have Canada, Scotland and New Zealand in that order making up the top 5. The Champion Network, of course, MTV Sports, Shakti TV, Sirsa TV and News First and Sports First will continue to bring you the very latest from the 2014 Commonwealth Games.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First. I'm Shamil Rasuldin.
And I'm Amina Mustafa.
Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, take care and good night.